Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
To News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakurin. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari transmits Finance Bill 2022 to House. Peter Obi's campaign DG Okupe resigns. Plus, Taliban bans university education for Afghan girls. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First in the news tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari has transmitted the Finance Bill 2022 to the House of Representatives for consideration and passage into law in support of the 2023 budget. The President transmitted the bill in a letter which was read by the Speaker of the House, Femi Wajabiamila, during plenary today. He said it was pursuant to the 1999 Constitution as amended. In another development, President Buhari has commended the auctioning of the 5G spectrum, which generated $547 million. The president attributed the feat to the digital economy, which had driven growth, created employment, and generated revenue for the country. The president said this at the National Shared Services Center, a one-stop shop for ministries, departments, and agencies to interface with citizens, which also houses a cyber security operations center, network center, and call center in Abuja today. He said the Q2 gross domestic product report by the National Bureau of Statistics showed the extent of growth, with the ICT contributing an unprecedented 18.44% to the GDP, close to 3 times the 6.33% contribution of the oil sector in the same quarter. Elsewhere, federal government is to activate the stoppage of cash withdrawal from all public accounts with immediate effect. In place of cash withdrawals, public officers are to open domiciliary accounts in foreign and local currencies ahead of the commencement of the new policy, which follows on the heels of the new Naira withdrawal policy introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria. A statement made available to newsmen today said the director and CEO of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit (NFIU), Modibo Haman Tupra, gave the new directive at a parley with the chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), Professor Mahmood Yakubu, in Abuja. Meanwhile, the federal government has established a fortified security data center to tackle emerging cyber threats on digital infrastructure in Nigeria. The managing director, Galaxy Backbone Limited, Mohammed Abubakar, told this to journalists after President Buhari commissioned the National Shared Service Center today in Abuja. He said the agency completed the project with 99% of the country's internally generated revenue. Abubakar added that the center would protect all government digital data from cyber attacks and foster adequate data storage. Away from that, Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed has debunked claims by opposition parties that the Buhari-led administration had no achievements under President Muhammadu Buhari to campaign with. Held at the National Press Center in Abuja today, Mohammed listed some of the achievements of the administration to include the National Social Investment Programs to feed 10 million children in a day, the now functioning Abuja, Kaduna, Lagos, Ibadan, and Itabwe Warri modern rail systems, and the recent opening of the second Niger Bridge. The minister insisted that the administration was spoiled for choice on which of its achievements to campaign with, as it had several of them. More on infrastructure development. Federal government says 4 hydropower projects with a combined capacity to inject 110 megawatts of electricity into the national grid have been completed. It also announced that 11 other hydropower projects with a total capacity of 3,715 megawatts of electricity had been initiated as work was ongoing at the various project sites. The Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, announced this in a document on the infrastructure development by the Federal Ministry of Water Resources. Adamu explained that Nigeria's hydropower potential was 12,220 megawatts, adding that Kanji, Jeba, and Shiroro dams accounted for 1,930 megawatts of the figure. In the meantime, federal government is considering establishing 2 disarmament, de-radicalization, rehabilitation, and reintegration centers for repentant members of Boko Haram and other terrorist groups. The coordinator of the National Counter-Terrorism Center, retired Rear Admiral Yem Musa, stated this during his presentation to the House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence. Musa said the consideration was part of the capital projects of the Center for 2023, decrying that the center, which is less than 1 year old, was battling with a shortage of funds to achieve the purposes for which it was established. Musa pleaded with the committee to consider and approve the initial sum forwarded by the agency. In a separate development, Germany's Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock has handed 20 artifacts looted in the 19th century back to Nigeria at a ceremony in the capital Abuja. The return of this set of Benin bronzes follows a deal made earlier this year to transfer ownership of more than 1,000 of the precious objects. It could be recalled that in July, Nigeria said it was the first time a European country had entered into such agreement. Speaking in Abuja today, Baerbock said the move was part of efforts to deal with a dark colonial history and an opportunity to right some of the wrongs of the past. Among the objects returned were some of the famous ceremonial heads, an ivory carving, as well as a decorated plaque. Meanwhile, the reviewed National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan has identified a $2.3 trillion gap and plans to ensure the country achieves 70% infrastructure stock from the current 30 to 35% by 2043. The plan also prescribes an expenditure of $150 billion annually to achieve the target. This was confirmed by the Minister of State for Finance, Budget and National Planning, Clem Abba, during a media parley in Abuja. He said the new master plan provided the roadmap for building a world-class infrastructure that would guarantee sustainable growth and development in Nigeria. In another development, the federal government has said it will require 4 trillion naira to drive the gas expansion plan in 10 years. A document on Nigeria's Cretaceous basins by the Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission said the sum would be needed for incremental investments from 2021 to reach net zero by 2060. A breakdown of the 4 trillion naira showed that the plan would require about 2.7 trillion naira as an additional cost that would be incurred for the application of what it termed carbon capture and storage in refining, and about 1.9 trillion naira for gas expansion. To the legislature now, where the Senate has confirmed the nomination of Loretta Onochie, a special assistant on social media to President Muhammadu Buhari, and 12 others as chairman and board members of the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC). It could be recalled that both the Senate and House of Representatives committees on Niger Delta had last Thursday screened Onochie alongside 13 others for the NDDC board roles. President Buhari had written to the Senate requesting the upper chamber to confirm the appointment of the chairman and members of the Commission's board in accordance with the provisions of the NDDC Establishment Act. Still on the legislature, House of Representatives has resolved to constitute an ad hoc committee to investigate a whistleblower's allegation of illegal sale of 48 million barrels of Nigeria's Bonny light crude in China in 2015 and the insurance status of the cargo. The committee is also to investigate all crude oil exports and sales by Nigeria from 2014 to date with regards to quantity, insurance revenue generated, remittances into the Federation account or other accounts, as well as utilization of the revenue for the period under review. In addition, the panel will investigate all proceeds recovered through the whistleblowers policy of the regime led by the President Muhammadu Buhari and the level of compliance by the policy. Meanwhile, the committee is to report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Meanwhile, Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele has once again failed to appear before the House of Representatives over the cash withdrawal limit policy of the CBN. The CBN governor, in a letter written by the Deputy Governor Corporate Services Edward Adamu, said he is currently outside the country for an official assignment. He stated that he will communicate with the House on an appropriate date. It would be recalled that the briefing has been postponed twice by the lawmakers, as Emefiele has been outside the country. Reacting to the letter, the Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, said the CBN governor must brief the House on his reason for spending 2 weeks outside the country. He insisted that the CBN governor must appear or send a deputy governor in his stead. On judicial matters now, Chief Judge of the Federal High Court Justice John Soho has declined an application by the Department of State Services DSS to arrest and detain the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, while declining the motion ex parte filed by an applicant in the absence of the respondent. Justice Soho said the secret police did not provide any concrete evidence to substantiate its claims that Emefiele was involved in terrorism financing and economic crimes. At the proceeding, the judge noted that the name of the CBN governor. Justice Soho therefore refused to entertain the suit until credible evidence was brought before the court as to the reason it should grant the request. The move by the DSS comes after the recent controversial decisions of the CBN to redesign the 200, 500, and 1,000 naira notes as part of the measure to reduce the quantity of cash outside of its control and discourage certain criminal activities such as kidnapping and ransom. On electoral matters, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has berated the deployment of money in elections, stressing that election is not a business venture, but rather an application to serve the people. This was as the electoral umpire boss listed the negative role that money plays in elections and electioneering. Yakubu stated these at a stakeholders summit on addressing the influence of money in the 2023 general election held in Abuja. He said money politics made the emergence of the right candidates for elected positions difficult. In a later development, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has signed an agreement with members of the transport unions comprising the National Road Transport Union of Nigeria, the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners, and the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria for effective logistics deployment in the 2023 general elections. Speaking in Abuja today, the chairman of the commission, Mahmood Yakubu, noted that INEC would need at least 100,000 vehicles, more than 4,000 boats and gunboats for the conveyance of personnel and materials in the forthcoming general elections. The signing of the agreement is coming barely 1 month after the commission met with security chiefs and heads of the transport unions in Lagos. INEC chairman, heads of civil society organizations, and leaders of various transport unions attended the meeting in Abuja. Yakubu charged the transporters to be neutral. In education, Minister of Sports and Youth Development Sunday Dare says there is no plan by the federal government to make the mandatory one-year NYC program optional. He said this during the 14th edition of the President Muhammadu Buhari Administration Scorecard Series 2015 to 2023 today in Abuja. He said the rationale behind the establishment of the scheme in 1973 was the need to promote unity in the country. Still in education, the Acting Director General National Youth Service Corps, Christy Uba, has urged Corps members to be vigilant and avoid night outings during their service year. She made the call today during the closing ceremony of the 2022 Batch C Stream 2 orientation course at the NYC Permanent Orientation Camp Wailo in Ganjua local government area of Bauchi State. Represented by the NYC coordinator in the state, Namadi Abubakar, Uba also advised them to avoid night parties, visit to dangerous places, free car rides and gifts from strangers. The NYC boss encouraged Corps employers to regard Corps members as their children, accept them, make necessary provisions for their welfare and proper mentoring to enable them develop their potentials. Meanwhile, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAMB) has announced that it will commence registration for the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME) from Saturday, January 14 through Tuesday, February 14, 2023. This was disclosed in a statement today by Board's Head of Media and Information, Fabian Benjamin. He said the examination body rolled out some major dates for its activities in 2023 at the end of its management meeting held in Abuja. JAM's spokesman, however, said it does not include registration for direct entry application documents, as the direct entry registration would commence from Monday 20th February to Thursday 20th April 2023. The board also fixed Thursday 16th March 2023 for the conduct of its optional mock UTME. In a separate development, the Federal Road Safety Corps has announced the deployment of 36,224 personnel and 1,226 patrol logistics to facilitate vehicular movement during the Christmas and New Year celebrations nationwide. Views said the FRC had maintained a culture of organizing special patrol operations, codenamed Operation Zero Tolerance, to road traffic crashes for many years. He added that the measures follow a series of activities that mark the holiday season to ensure the safety of other lives and property of road users. In politics, Doyin Okupe has resigned as the campaign director general of Labour Party's presidential candidate Peter Obi. In a letter addressed to the LP presidential candidate today, Okupe said it is better not to allow his personal interests distract the campaign of Obi and that of the party, hence his decision to step aside. Away from that, the Osun State Police Command today announced a ban on street carnivals during the festive season to forestall breakdown of law and order. The command noted that it had intelligence which indicated that miscreants under the guise of street carnival planned to cause mayhem in the state. A statement by the command spokesperson Yemisi Opalola obtained in Osogbo today, however, warned that the police would not tolerate street carnivals under whatever guise. It also advised organizers of such events to hire halls or use gated compounds while having their celebrations. To Imo State now, where Governor Hope Uzodinma today presented a budget of 447.4 billion naira for 2023 to the Imo State House of Assembly for approval. The budget, tagged Budget of Wealth Expansion, was made up of 150.4 billion naira recurrent expenditure, representing 22%, and 373.5 billion naira capital expenditure, representing 78%. Uzodinma said the objective of the budget was to satisfy the desires of the people by delivering sustainable dividend at the center of governance through massive reconstruction of dilapidated infrastructures in urban and rural areas. Meanwhile, Akwa Ibom people have been urged to go to their local governments to collect their permanent voter cards, PVCs, to enable them vote in the coming 2023 elections. This message was passed by the Pan-African Women Project, which took their PVCs collection drive to Itam Market to sensitize people at the grassroots about the ongoing PVC collection. Our correspondent completes this report.
2023 elections getting closer. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) had urged all electorates to collect their PVCs starting from the 12th of December. Unfortunately, a lot of people are still unaware of this information. To bridge this gap, the Pan-African Women Project, a non-governmental organization, has taken it upon themselves to go around the country informing people at the grassroots, especially women, about the PVC collections. Head of Mission's Pan-African Women's Project, Dr. Eno Udensi, who noted that the initiative to promote good governance and sustainable democracy in Africa can majorly be tracked from the grassroots, since it was observed in the last election that the market women and those from the grassroots were the main registrants with the PVC.
We are in this engagement telling people, sensitizing them, speaking to the market women, to youth, and CAD. And we were not just doing it in Itam Market. This engagement started in Abuja. From our observations over the years, we've observed that the women that have permanent voters card are really women who are from the grassroots. These market women are people we've been seeing in the polo unit.
The village head of Ikoroba Sitam in Itu local government area, Obon Gabriel Ikbewe, who applauded the initiative, also urged INEC to decentralize the collection of PVCs to the wards.
In this area, the local government is too far from here for people to go there and collect their PVC. I think they can make it possible for everybody to bring down those PVC to either cooking units or to the collection center where they register people. Now, transportation from here is so high, and so many people will not be able to go there. Another thing is that times of election, on the day of election, they say election commence by 8 o'clock. People will go to voting unit by 8 o'clock and stay there till 4 o'clock. There is no material for voting. Then you go. Later on, the result is out. I believe with what is going on now in Nigeria, our vote will count.
Akwa Ibom State INEC Public Affairs Officer, Ekom Umo, also lauded the initiative to correct the misconceptions about PVC collections and assure the electorate that their votes will count in 2023.
The message here is that we just came to spread information, to tell them to go and collect their PVCs and where they can get the PVCs. There were a lot of misconceptions because a lot of people actually felt that sometimes people not felt, some people would say that when you go to INEC office you're not going to find your PVC and all of that. We just wanted to correct that impression. We wanted to give them the right information because most times they take the blame to INEC, but not because we should be blamed, but because of the lack of the proper information. They don't have the right information at a particular time. So we have to calm down to talk to them in their dialect in a way that they will understand. In all the dialects of Akwa Ibom, say the Yanan, the Video, and whatsoever. So now everybody can really understand and they can know the right place to go to get their PVC.
The 2023 elections is panning out to be one of the biggest in the country's history, and everyone has been encouraged to play their part in effecting change, starting with collecting their PVCs and voting the right candidates.
In the news, World Bank warns Naira redesign will affect the poor SMEs. Just stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. We move on now to Africa, where South African President Cyril Ramaphosa today vowed to unite the deeply featured African National Congress ANC and root out graft after the ruling party re-elected him as leader despite anger over a growing scandal. Ending a 5-day conference where the ANC's rifts were on stark display, Ramaphosa said his first 5 years as party chief had been a difficult journey. Recall that Ramaphosa, with 70, secured a second term at the helm of the ANC after a bruising race against his former health minister, Zweli Mkhize. He is being probed by the police and other agencies over the way he handled a burglary at his farm. Still in Africa, Tanzania has signed a $2.2 billion contract with a Chinese company to build the final section of a railway line aimed at linking the country's main port with its neighbors. The 2,561-kilometer line will link the Indian Ocean port of Dar es Salaam to Mwanza on Lake Victoria, with eventual spurs to Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, and Uganda. President Samia Hassan, who witnessed the signing, said the construction of the final section of the Standard Gauge Railway from Tabora to Kigoma in western Tanzania would be completed in 2026, 9 years after it began. Hassan said Tanzania's investment in the railway had now reached more than $10 billion, including the latest contract. Meanwhile, Ethiopia's largest bank, the Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, has announced the resumption of financial operations in some towns in the troubled Tigray region after a shutdown of more than a year. In a statement, the bank said, following the recent peace agreement, its branches in the towns of Shire, Alamata, and Korem had started receiving money sent from abroad and locally, as well as money on deposit. The bank said it was continuing its efforts to expand its services and gradually resume operations in all branches. On the foreign scene, Turkey has lashed out at Sweden's refusal to extradite a top reporter that Ankara has demanded in exchange for its ratification of Stockholm's NATO membership bid. President Tayyip Erdogan wants Sweden to return dozens of people that he suspects either of involvement in a failed 2016 coup or of membership of a banned Kurdish militia. In-chief Bülent Kenis was the only person Erdogan has singled out by name. Sweden's Supreme Court cited the risk of Turkey's persecution based on this person's political beliefs when it blocked the request. Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu said the ruling threatened to derail hard-fought progress that the sides have made through months of delicate talks. Meanwhile, Poland's PKN Orlen will not extend a contract for Russian oil that expires in January. The refiner said a second long-term contract would not be implemented when sanctions are introduced, confirming a report by the Polish agency PAP. The company said the only binding contract for the supply of Russian oil in 2023 will cease to be implemented when the sanctions are introduced, for which they are prepared. Elsewhere, Pakistani security forces have stormed a counter-terrorism center in a remote northwestern district to free several security officials taken hostage 2 days ago by armed group Taliban Pakistan (TTP). The fate of hostages inside remained unclear, as the forces were still looking to clear the entire compound in the Banu district of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province that borders Afghanistan today. Security personnel told reporters that the forces had retaken the center, though the military or the government were yet to issue a statement. 6 security officials and several detainees were said to be inside the center. Still on the foreign scene, leaders from the Middle East and Europe today gathered in Jordan in a conference focused on bolstering security and stability in Iraq. The meeting included high-level officials from regional rivals Saudi Arabia and Iran, along with leaders from France, Iraq, Turkey, Egypt, Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, and the European Union. The country said the goal was to show support for Iraq, its sovereignty, security, and stability, as well as its political process, its economic and development for decades by internal and external conflicts. The 2003 US-led invasion led to years of intense violence and sectarian strife, including the creation of the Islamic State extremist group and the empowerment of Iran-backed political factions and militias. Meanwhile, the Taliban authorities have ordered a nationwide ban on university education for females as the hardline Islamists continue to crush Afghan women's right to education and freedom. Despite promising a softer rule when they seized power last year, the Taliban have ratcheted up restrictions on all aspects of women's lives, ignoring international outrage. A letter signed by the Minister for Higher Education, Neda Nadim, asked all government and private universities to immediately implement the order until further notice. The spokesman for the ministry, Ziaullah Hashimi, who tweeted the letter, confirmed the order to newsmen. The ban on higher education comes less than 3 months after thousands of girls and women sat university entrance examinations across the country, with many aspiring to choose teaching and medicine as future careers. In our business news, World Bank has warned that the newly redesigned Naira, which went into circulation last week, may have a negative effect on economic activity, especially for poor Nigerians, due to its timing and short transition period. The Washington-based bank made this known in a new report on Nigeria Development Update amid the mixed reactions that have been trailing the newly redesigned notes. In its report, the World Bank, however, said the new policy would negatively affect small businesses, especially those with day-to-day cash transactions. Similarly, the Lagos State Chairman of the Nigerian Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, Adebayo Adams, said the policy would hit businesses and the MSMEs. Still in business, it has emerged that the total assets of Nigeria's insurance industry stood at 2.3 trillion naira at the end of the third quarter of 2022. The National Insurance Commission announced this in a report on the Statistics Department's quarterly synopsis of the insurance market third quarter 2022. According to the report, the industry recorded a total asset of about 2.3 trillion naira, indicating a 9% increase, while the industry balance sheet showed about 1.1 trillion naira in assets of non-life businesses, and the life business stood at about 1.2 trillion naira. The report noted that the industry's gross premium income in the third quarter of 2022 stood at 532.7 billion naira, while the net claims paid stood at about 207.2 billion naira, signifying 85.4% of all gross claims reported during the period. Elsewhere, U.S. industrial giant 3M has announced that it will phase out the production of forever chemical polyfluoroalkyl substances in light of tightening regulation connected to harmful health effects from their use. 3M will exit the substances manufacturing by the end of to result in pre-tax costs of $1.3 to $2.3 billion. Polyfluoroalkyl substances are man-made chemicals produced since the 1940s and are now widely present in soil and water, as well as in humans, fish, and other wildlife. They are known for the lengthy amount of time required before they break down. Still to come in the news. Cristiano Ronaldo reportedly having a hard time after Messi wins World Cup. Do stay with us.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian.
From issues on politics,
Hello, Nigeria. I remain committed.
security,
education, health,
lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyeken
every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abuse. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Thanks for staying tuned. Now in health, the Minister of State, Nkama, has lamented the acute shortage of doctors, nurses, and other health professionals in government hospitals across all levels due to the increasing immigration. The minister said this while speaking at the inauguration of bedded intensive care unit, neonatal intensive care unit, pediatric intensive care unit, and labor ward at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. We're working to ensure that exiting staff were replaced as soon and seamlessly as possible. Now, still in health, China has reported its first deaths from COVID-19 since loosening its hardline containment policy as hospitals and crematoriums struggle with an outbreak which authorities say is impossible to track. The country is reportedly pressing ahead with unwinding years of its zero COVID policy, with people in one megacity told that they can go to work if they are visibly ill. Reports say official case numbers are widely considered unreliable following the end of mandatory mass testing, while fears are mounting of a wave of infections in poor rural areas during the upcoming Lunar New Year holidays. Now in sports, Portugal captain Cristiano Ronaldo is reportedly having a hard time accepting a job currently waiting in Dubai ahead of joining the Saudi Arabian club Al Nassr. And while Al Nassr still expects Ronaldo to join them ahead of the new year, Ronaldo is currently a free agent after his contract with Manchester United was torn up. Still in sports, Victor Osimhen has reiterated his desire to remain at Serie A club Napoli for the foreseeable future. Osimhen has been linked with a move away from Napoli, with the likes of Chelsea, Manchester United and Real Madrid reportedly listed among the suitors. With the winter transfer window due to open in a few days' time, the Nigerian international has hinted he is not willing to leave the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona Stadium anytime soon. Elsewhere, an Italian court has handed down a suspended 18-month sentence today to a football fan who groped a TV journalist reporting live after a match. Greta Begalia was reporting from local Toscana TV outside Empoli's Carlo Castellani Stadium following their Serie A match with Tuscan rivals Fiorentina in November last year, when one of the fans streaming past slapped her bottom. The footage went viral and caused outrage in Italy, with the country's top football division among those condemning the assault. Following a fast-track trial, restauratore Andrea Serrani was given 18 months in jail for sexual assault and suspended for 5 years. Still in sports, Nigeria's 100 meters hurdles world champion and record holder Tobi Amusan has been ranked the 5th best female athlete in 2022. This is according to World Athletics. The World Athletics ranked each athlete according to the points they amassed from their performances during the season, using the scoring tables of athletics. Recall that the 25-year-old hurdler had a fantastic year and became the first Nigerian world champion in an athletics event when she won the 2022 World Championships 100 meters hurdles gold medal. She set the current world record of 12 minutes 12 seconds in the semi-final, followed up by a minute 6 seconds in the final. On our entertainment news, Afrobeat superstar David Adeleke, professionally known as Davido, has hinted at the release of a new album in March 2023. After his performance at the FIFA World Cup closing ceremony, along with Trinidad, Cardona and Aisha, the singer hinted on Twitter at the release of a new album in March 2023. In the tweet, he included an emoji of a music track while asking his fans to anticipate his return. Still in entertainment, Afrobeat legend Burna Boy has been announced by streaming platform Boomplay as the #1 male artist for 2022. Burna Boy leads Asake, who comes in at #2, and Case Daniel, who is the 3rd most streamed artist. With the announcement, Burna Boy has now become the most streamed artist of 2022 on 3 of the major streaming platforms in Nigeria, in a feat that captures his successful 2022. Reports say, in addition to dominating the streaming platforms, Burna Boy will be wrapping up 2022 with 2 Grammy nominations for World Album and Global Song of the Year. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert. Wishing you a terrific night rest. Bye-bye for now.